Something I've always enjoyed is collecting merchandise, specifically figurines, plushes, and other 3D renditions of media that's usually only enjoyed as two-dimensional, like video games and cartoons. That's actually why I started making sculptures and custom Amiibo. To me, however, collecting this stuff is only half the enjoyment. The other half is sharing it with other people. So join me today as we look at a small part of my collection. I feel like the best place to start when it comes to looking at the Smash Amiibo line is with Mr. Video Game himself, Mario. This is one of the first Amiibo that I've ever owned, and I've always thought it was among the cooler looking ones from the first wave. Most people have seen this Amiibo in person at one point or another, but if I'm reviewing all the Smash Amiibo, then that includes this one. Mario is sporting his Smash 4 render pose, complete with a flaming fireball being pulled across the air in front of him. I actually think this render has a much better pose and look to it than the Smash Ultimate render, mainly because of the fireball. There's a small amount of color printed on the spherical fire area in his hand to make it look like that part is burning more intensely. The fireball is obviously one of the first things you might notice about this figurine. While it doesn't look nearly as good as it does in his render, you gotta admit it still looks pretty amazing for just being plastic. The closer you get, the more it just kinda looks like a blob or crystal of orange, but I can't really think of any other way for them to make fire look any better. I'm sure it was hard enough to make it look as good as it does. It really shines, no pun intended, when the light catches it at different angles, especially when it's in motion, giving it a real fiery look. The overalls have a nice denim texture all over them, as well as creases and lines where appropriate. There are shiny golden buttons where the straps stick to his chest. I'd even say that the overalls look better on this figure than they do on the render itself. A cool detail about this figure is that the overalls are a bit paler on the front, since that's where the light from the fireball would be shining on it the most. The shirt and hat are very basic pieces of plastic with no major folds or other details that the pants may have. While this isn't major, it's a little unfortunate that this is the case, since the render has little details like the brim of Mario's hat having a border, and more noticeable creases and textures across the shirt and hat. It's surprising that with the level of detail that these figurines are made with, they for some reason didn't include this. It doesn't really bother me too much though. The ears aren't as detailed as in the render. It's kind of strange because looking at the ear, I can almost tell that there is at one point going to be more detail, but I don't know, I'm probably crazy. The gloves look pretty good. I won't bash them too hard since I know how hard modeling hands can be. Even so, the hands on most of these Amiibo look pretty great, and Mario's no exception. The molding lines for his hands were designed to go across where the seams of his gloves are, turning a potential negative into a positive. The right hand is in a fist and looks pretty good from the front, but from the back, it's missing indentation where the bunched up fingers should be. Instead, it's just smooth. That's not really how hands work. There's also a very unnoticeable extension of plastic from the seam line where the extra plastic from the molding was cut. The left hand is open and dragging the fireball. My problem with this hand is that there's a pretty obvious molding seam hole on the side of it. It's a little unfortunate since it's noticeable. The face looks very good. The eyes look great, and the mouth is an indent, making it look much better than if it was, say, painted on. My only complaint is that the color printed on the eyebrows and mustache either bleeds a bit into places it shouldn't, or it doesn't cover up the entire space. It's not that noticeable unless you get really close, though. And I've been very close this entire video, if you couldn't tell. And why is he so angry? He's always so pissed in Smash Bros. Games. What's got him so mad? The hair looks great, only barely bleeding into unwanted parts in a few areas. Looking closely, the edges of the hair almost look a little low resolution, or at least painted very thinly. There's a little bit of glue that's noticeable below the hat and at the top of the neck. I took a look at some scrap Mario Amiibo I used for customs to see if they had the glue, and they did not, so maybe it's a first print thing. The shoes are nothing special, just faithful renditions of the shoes that Mario wears. Nothing wrong with them, except maybe the seam lines on the very front of each shoe, which can kinda be noticeable at some angles. The figure is about 2 7/8 inches tall, and about 2.5 inches wide from fireball to hand. The figure weighs about 41.8 grams. With measurements like these, this Amiibo represents the average dimensions you can expect from other characters. Some are shorter and lighter, while others are much bigger and heavier. Since this is technically a toy, and also designed for small baby children, I feel like it would be worth it just to look at how durable this figurine is. Most Smash Amiibo are made with roughly 3 kinds of plastic. A super rigid kind, a more middle-of-the-road kind, and a very bendy kind. Most of the time, the rigid plastic is used for the large structural parts of the figurine, while the others are for details or maybe arms or something. With Mario, he's pretty much entirely made out of the rigid plastic. However, the left arm and fireball are technically one large appendage, meaning that they can bend easily with some force, albeit not very much. The left arm may actually be made of the middle tier plastic, but the right arm doesn't look like it is, so maybe not. Usually if one arm is made of one kind of plastic, the other is too. Either way, this is a super durable figure, able to be picked up in any orientation, without needing to worry about bending or breaking anything you shouldn't. While I only own a couple different kinds of Mario Amiibo, since I really only care for Smash, I would like to compare it to other Mario Amiibo variants that exist. And no, Dr. Mario doesn't count, he's getting his own video. First up we have the Mario Amiibo from the Super Mario Amiibo line. I guess I technically have this Amiibo since I made a custom Granddad out of it, but that doesn't count. Immediately we can tell that the overalls have significantly less detail, he has a much happier expression, and the base is different. Looking closer, the overall buttons aren't shiny and gold, his eyes have a lot more depth, and we can finally get the detail on the ears that we deserve. This Amiibo is pretty nice, but it's unfortunate that it's missing some of the details that the Smash version has. This Amiibo also has silver and gold versions, but they suck because at the end of the day they have so much less detail than the original and they're artificially rare. Don't let the man tell you what's more valuable. A figure has value because you enjoy it, not because it's slathered in a shiny coat of paint. For Super Mario's 30th anniversary, Amiibo were released to commemorate the event. 3D models of the original sprites from the first Super Mario Bros. Game, coming in 2 different colors, classic and modern. I won't say any more on these, since I own them both and will probably make a video on them at some point. And lastly, we've got the Wedding Mario Amiibo from the Super Mario series. This one actually looks great, with Mario donning his wedding outfit from Super Mario Odyssey. The hat has an interesting texture, the face looks super good, the bow tie has a noticeable texture, his suit has a pearly sheen to it, and the buttons are gold again, yes! The Smash Bros. Mario Amiibo did an excellent job of setting the bar very high for the level of quality one can expect from Amiibo in general. I feel that these figurines only went up in terms of quality from this one, at least in the Smash Bros. Series. This is a very nice, solid figurine that would look good on any shelf or in any collection, no matter if you play Smash or not. I've always enjoyed the look of this Amiibo quite a bit, but there are a lot more characters that have Amiibo that are way cooler than this one. Make sure to stick around to see what figure the next review will be about. I've got nearly every Smash Amiibo, and I was planning on reviewing them either in roster order or release order, but it'd definitely be more fun to see what you guys want to see next instead. Thank you for watching, and now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go, clap my pet crab. He's very cute.